Test, test.
Megtooth Sabers requires a lot of work on engineering, drilling, smoothing, tapping, setting, imagining, cutting, stripping, twisting, dipping, tin it, pin it,
Test.
wire it, fire it, lock it, cast it, swing it, bash it. Megtooth Sabers.
Greetings, everybody. How are y'all doing tonight? That is the Proffie 3.7. Still running great. Still running great. Good to see you guys. Oh, Ken of the Hill. What do you post a good video, Max? I have to go check it out. I usually keep up with Ken of the Hill. I've been out of town on vacation, but I'm back. I didn't have pet sitting arranged for a couple days here. Plus, I had to work yesterday for the 4th of July here in the USA. Happy 4th of July to all you fellow United Statesians. Hope y'all had a happy and safe 4th of July. Jesse Kirkbride, what's up? Max, Ken of the Hill, Cole Weathers, and Jesse are in the house. Awesome. Great to see all you. So, really quick, you know, the Proffie 3.7 Sabers run great. Actually had some kids while I was on vacation. Got to wield it around. I don't know where I put the blade plug for it. It's here somewhere, but it is still running just as great as it did when I first installed it. So the Proffie 3.7 Saber is still killing it. So Frederick did post a teaser update for everybody. He said it looks like, hey Michael Dallin, it looks like Frederick's pretty happy with the with how the beta testing on Proffie 3.7 has gone, and he said he's probably going to make an announcement maybe this week or next week, and so y'all need to stay tuned for that. So it looks like Proffie 3.7 is going to be released to go into production. Now, that's one hurdle. The other hurdle is whether or not there's enough chips and components to make the Proffie 3.7. So I hope there are, because it's an awesome board. The Proffie 3.7 really elevates the ability of the soundboard. This is Jesse Kirkbride's New Hope training, by the way. Kyberphonics. That's the swing I love. But at any rate, the New Hope training is awesome on there. What Proffie 3.7 does, for those of y'all that maybe haven't caught a previous video about the brand new upcoming Proffie board, is how the SD card is read by the board is a little bit different. It uses SPIO rather than the old standard SD reader. That allows it to pull the files from the SD card much quicker, twice as fast as Proffie board 1.5 or Proffie board 2.2. Really quick, while we're talking about that, you know, they're really Proffie board 1.5. There's still fireworks going on in my neighborhood if y'all hear. The rednecks are at large. But the Proffie board 1.5 really wasn't a great advancement over the capabilities of Teensy Saber. Outside of it was smaller. And the Proffie board 2.2 was just basically a simpler to solder version of Proffie 1.5 with a better onboard amplifier. But other than that, there was really nothing that changed from Proffie 1.5 to Proffie 2.2. That's why if people had Proffie 1.5s, I was like, use them, because there's no difference between a Proffie 1.5 and 2.2 outside of the quality of the amplifier. But there is, Proffie 1.5s are awesome. Jesse, if you don't want that, all you got to do is put it on the market. It'll sell. I mean, if it's like from a KR one, I'd buy it. The problem with the Proffie 1.5s is sometimes the amp was a little finicky, especially if you had any shorts. It would immediately fry the amp, and then you would lose all sound on the Saber. And the Proffie 2.2s fixed that amplifier problem. Now the Proffie 3.7, the giant leap to me, this is a giant leap in capabilities, because it improves the way that the soundboard and the computer can pull the sounds off, which will make Jesse Kirkbride happy. You know, when guys like Jesse Kirkbride and K Sith and, you know, the other countless font makers that are out there, like Fonts by Fours, you know, you have tons of folks out there that are making fonts. When they make the fonts, they're making them on the computer, and you know they can play them all simultaneously how it should sound when the Saber's being swung around. But the old soundboards, you know, even CFX, it does not read sounds fast enough to give you full-time live speed when you're throwing clashes, lockups, you know, blasters, force sounds, background track, and a bunch of accent swings on top of the ever-changing algorithms on the smooth swing. That's a lot to ask to be able to pull that many simultaneous audio streams at the same time. And the old processor and the old way SD cards were read, that just wasn't possible. But with the new SDIO on Proffie 3.7, it's now massively possible. It actually can pull sounds almost as fast as you're making the Saber swing. So it's pretty awesome. So Proffie 3.7, Frederick is probably going to make a big announcement on that and release that. I think he said he was going to make an announcement this week. The big problem is Frederick's in Sweden right now. He's on vacation. I don't know if he's come back to Seattle yet, but he was in Sweden last I heard. But that's the big update on Proffie 3.7. I did install that from Smuggler's Outpost, that brass eye in this saber. I don't know if I showed that to y'all last week, but it's awesome. Yeah, Kyberphonic. I think he only, I think Cal from KR Sabers, I think he produced like 8 or 9 boards for the beta testers. I was one of the beta testers, so there's only, the soundboard that's in this lightsaber, there's less than a dozen in existence in the world, and I have one in this saber, so, I'm pretty lucky. But I think the bottom line is that once the motion gestures, I think once the chip shortage ends, and we're seeing a reprieve from some of the stuff here in the U.S. Like lumber prices are starting to go back down, which they haven't really gone down here in Wilmington, where I live, in Wilmington, North Carolina, for really since Hurricane Florence. We started seeing a massive increase in lumber prices just after Hurricane Florence, which was in 2018 or 2019, I can't remember. We got waylaid by Hurricane Florence here in Wilmington, North Carolina, but after that storm, lumber prices just kept going up and up and up and up. And then when COVID hit, lumber prices went exponential. Like a 2x4 that used to cost you maybe 75 cents is now like $8. So it was crazy, the cost of lumber. But yeah, I wish I could hook y'all up with a Proffie 3.7. But, Frederick only authorized, I think, those 8 or 9 boards to be made by Cal for the beta testers. And the reason he didn't put them into mass production is because they haven't been out tested by people. But now, there's several that have been installed, including this soundboard. And, I installed that Proffie 3.7 live here on Megtooth Monday Live. And y'all all got to see it. So you got a preview of what's to come, including the install, which, was relatively easy. No, I don't have to return it max. That's the cool part about doing this beta testing is, once you do the beta install, the soundboard is yours. Now, on my Proffie 1.5 beta test, Frederick actually charged us for those soundboards, but it was minimal. I think it was like $35. It was the cost of, the soundboard or whatever. It might have been more than that. I'm just guessing because it's a long time ago. But on Proffie 2.2s, he just sent them to us. And on Proffie 3.7, he just sent them to us. My guess is that, that's some kind of a deal between him and Cal. KR Sabers and Cal Jerome, he's heavily involved in Proffie board testing, which is interesting because Cal has his own soundboard out there, the Verso, which I've installed, which is pretty cool. Oh, hey, Jennaru. Jennaru's still in White Lake, which I'll be going there the day after tomorrow. I can't even believe her internet service is allowing her to get on. But yeah, I don't have to return the soundboard. It's mine to keep. So I'm pretty excited for them to get out there, y'all. I think you will see a noticeable difference. To me, it was noticeable from Proffie 2.2 to Proffie 3.7. I think it's a good improvement in the new version of the soundboard. I think it's pretty awesome. I think it puts it another leap ahead of everyone else. And, as long as Frederick keeps innovating like he is right now, he's going to be hard to keep up with. The man his brain must go 1,000,000 miles an hour. I mean, y'all see his crazy idea of the day post and all, which I'm going to talk about that in a second. But, his brain just works 1,000,000 miles an hour. Probably one of the smartest people, that I've ever had the pleasure of talking with and knowing. And there's a lot of smart people out there. Irv Plechter is extremely intelligent. Scott DeBoer, all these guys that make these soundboards and code them are all intelligent. Fernando De Rosa, extremely intelligent. So there's a lot of really cool guys. That's funny, Cole. I really wish I could get y'all some soundboards. Yeah, that's the big hope, Ken of the Hill, is deep sleep. That's probably the biggest hang up most people that enjoy CFX still have with Proffie board, is the fact that it doesn't have deep sleep. That has a good standby. I mean, I don't have a kill key in either of those KR flagships. Neither of these have kill keys or kill switches in them. They both have removable batteries. And, you know, I find the battery lasts for about a 2 month before it starts saying low battery, low battery, low battery, and wakes me up. And it's always at 3 o'clock in the morning when they start yelling low battery. And Jennaru's going, one of your Sabers is making racket. I'm like, oh, and I have to go fix it. But yeah, we're all hoping for deep sleep too, Ken of the Hill. Hey, Kim Kanama. Oh, dang it, Kim. I'll message you on Facebook when I get back from vacation and off everything. So, yeah, I had to come back from vacation. I always have to work the 4th of July because of my day job, and Thanksgiving and Christmas and pretty much any other holiday which families get together normally, I have to work. So it's not my day job, not fun. But at any rate, I had to come home to work on 4th of July and to take care of Risky here for a few days. And I'll be going back to be with Jennaru there in White Lake here shortly. So it'll be pretty cool to get back with her and get back into vacation. Left my work cell basically off. Didn't even look at it, which is awesome. And plus, there's not really good cell phone service where they're at. What did Max say? Huh. Oh, keeping me in check? Don't you worry. Jennaru wears pants. At least she thinks she does. Oh, Lord have mercy. Jennaru's she's in charge. She is definitely in charge. She lets you know it. We're talking about the Verso. So stand by, everybody. So this is a saber that I installed with Verso, and you know, Kyberphonic makes sound fonts for the Verso soundboards too, and this saber, you know, it's pretty awesome. Well, let's see here. I might have the kill key turned off. Stand by. Yeah, I got the kill key turned off.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Yeah, I know it is, but vacations for me are not really vacations because of my job. So every now and then I have to tune in for any big decisions that need to be made while I'm gone that my people that take over after I leave can't make. But at any rate, I do check in on my work phone like once a day, but other than that, I'm not listening to it or paying attention to it. This is the Verso soundboard, and this is one of Kyberphonic's sound fonts for Verso. So it's got accent swings, clash, lock up, oop, and lock, blaster blocks. And Verso can now have unlimited fonts. So what we were talking about is Cal has his own soundboard. Frederick was Ken Kanama. The actual maker was passing them out. So, yep, the only thing that Verso doesn't have right now is tip drag, but, you know, I didn't think Cal would be able to add all the stuff that's on there. In fact, Rich Sanglio, who's on the stream right now, he's the one that clued me in, oh man, you need to go update your Verso because it can do tons of stuff. So it does color changing, effects changing. You have blaster block, lockup, which you can localize. Stand by, let me put a blade in there. I'll show you guys the localized lockup that I've programmed on it. And I don't know if my heavy grade blade will fit in this socket or what, because this is the only, I left my 1-inch blades at vacation because I was letting the kids play with my lightsaber while we're on vacation. Don't think nasty, y'all. These lightsabers. Oh, come on. No. Oh, you know what? This is designed to work with the... I forgot. This is designed to work with the... so it looks like tip drag. So the lockup's on the end there. Because this the blade I have made for this, which stand by. You know what? I do have the blade that I made for this. It's a KRV1 blade. So stand by. Yep. I'm grabbing it. So this is the KRV1 blade. Yep. Finn Jedi 2021. Oh, let's put the right blade in it. This is designed to work with Cal's V1 strip. There's your localized lockup on Verso. I'll do it on red where maybe you guys can see it better. Oh, come on, that's the fire blade on Verso. Here we go. Here's a red blade. This is Spike Hydrophonics. Here's lockup. Y'all might have to look at it in the movie poster to see it's localized. Look at it in the reflection of the movie poster. But at any rate, yeah, you know, it's got flash on clash blaster blocks, and the blaster blocks have almost like a CFX like delay on them. And then of course y'all know it does color changing. Get it back to red. Oh, that's not red, that's orange. And then you got different effects you can scroll through. Let me get it to red. There's red. So the Verso is a pretty awesome soundboard too. And I guess how we got talking about that, which by the way, y'all, this lightsaber and a charger I have for sale on my YouTube channel. And this is a Vector hilt. It's installed with Verso, a permanently installed battery recharge port. Has a illuminated blue LED that once you ignite the saber stays on. When you retract the saber, it's got a blinking pattern and it does that until it goes into sleep mode. But saber, blade, charger, 450 if anybody's looking for a Verso saber. But they're, you know, a lot better than, you know, when Verso first came out, it was almost like a NeoPixel Nano Biscotti for what it's worth. But, you know, that saber and that blade is brand new. You know, just built it just for the fun, and actually did the install vid for that saber is on my YouTube channel, which was the first time that I got to install a Verso. Max got a new saber, if everybody missed his video. But, you know, his new saber is pretty awesome. And, you know, Max has an understanding of the Proffie OS and how to program it. So, that'd be pretty cool to see Max program his own saber. There is a massive fireworks show going on in my neighborhood, y'all. I mean, it's loud. I don't know if y'all can hear it, but it's pretty loud. It's kind of crazy. So, you know, lots of cool things are happening in the lightsaber world. And I want to get on to talking about the Crucible. By the way, Jeff, I did post your, if Birch, if you're still on here. Birch, it's happy birthday to Jeff Birch, by the way, everybody. It's Birchie's birthday today, or it was yesterday. Was it today or yesterday? I don't remember. But at any rate, oh, look, a squirrel. I want to talk about the Crucible website. You know, if those of y'all that are on it, you know, when I posted Birch's spreadsheet, there was a degradation in the conversation there between two of the users, and it just really shouldn't have been there. You know, when stuff like that happens, then you're like, well, that's why TRA bans people. And, you know, you're kind of like, I get it. I still don't like banning people. I think everybody should have a voice. it's just unfortunate when people use that voice, you know, to be confrontational or whatever. I would just rather people use their energy to be creative and take that anger energy that you have or dislike you have for somebody else and put it into creativity. Show that you're more creative. You know, win your argument with your brain. And, you know, one of the users in particular I know is extremely intelligent that was involved in that and has a lot to contribute. And I think that they could contribute a lot more just by contributing their creativity rather than arguing on the internet. But that's all I have to say about that. Yeah. Yeah. I know, Jeff. Sometimes I feel like that too, but the way that Proffie Board develops, its development is so fast, Jeff, that if you're not trying to stay at least, you know, in the realm of fairly recency on Proffie Board, it's going to leave you in the dust because it's so complicated. Proffie Board and the OS, the rate that it's evolving is so rapid that if you don't stay on top of it, then you just fall behind. Yeah, Cole's 39. Yeah, Jeff just, you know, I won't say how old Jeff is. I mean, if he wants to share it, he can. But I hit the big 50 the other week. So on June 27th, I hit 50. And, you know, then the next day, I think, was Max's birthday. Max is born on June 28th. Or Max, are you born on the same day as me? But yeah, me and Max and Birch are all Cancers. That's a water sign. Yeah, yes, Kim Kanama. If you looked at his prop file, which is longer than the old OS was, you know, just his prop file for edit mode and all that is crazy. But look, here's my opinion about edit mode that Fernando's come up with. If you're an installer and you're installing Proffie Sabers for end users that don't want to learn Arduino and don't want to learn how to program and just want to add fonts to their SD card, they want to change colors, like, you kind of phonics. Jesse, are you really 28? Yep. That's crazy, Cole. It's like how many people that we talk to every Monday are Cancers. Me, you, Max, and Birch. That's insane. That's funny. And Elon Musk. Elon Musk is 1 day younger than me. Elon Musk just turned 50. He was born June 28th, 1971. So he's actually 1 day younger than me. And Risky had a birthday too. Come on up, buddy. Come on, let everybody see you. Let everybody see Risky. Wait a minute. People want to see you. Don't you want to see them? Hey, buddy. Oh, Riskinator. Oh my God, Jesse, you're young. 28 years old. That means you didn't even see Star Wars in the theaters. You weren't alive. Oh. Well, you saw Phantom Menace and all that, I guess. I was working in my current job when the Phantom Menace came out. I remember standing in line for... We actually camped out for tickets for the Phantom Menace. And I just remember how excited we were when that movie came out. And, you know, the funny thing is the previews for Phantom Menace, you know, were some of the first internet videos on the World Wide Web. That's where, you know, we had visions of Darth Maul on the internet, which was crazy back then. But yeah, that's my that's mine, Jeff. He's crazy. His name's Risky, and he's scared because of the fireworks. So he's kind of like all over me right now because the fireworks are going off in the background. But yeah, it's my Riskinator. He's a good boy. He's a really good boy. I think he saved me. He's a good boy. He's a rescue. I saved him. He saved me. It was a good deal. Ken of the Hills, 40. Ken, you're young too. That's crazy. I guess I am old. I mean, I teach at the local community college. It's one of my side jobs too. Like, y'all don't know how busy I am. Play bagpipes, teach, build lightsabers, work full time. Go scuba diving and boating and hang out with my dog and throw the frisbee to him. And, hang out with Jennaru and Ella. And my life is crazy. But yeah. That's cool, Kim. That's awesome. But, yeah, as I was saying, you just want to, if you want to stay up on Proffie board, you gotta stay up on those. But yeah, on the websites. But Fernando's prop file, what I was getting back to is, I think the only time you should really use Fernando's prop file with edit mode and all those defines is if you're installing a Saber for an end user that doesn't want to learn Arduino. But if you're a Saber enthusiast and you have learned Arduino and you understand how to program a Proffie, I wouldn't use edit mode. To me, it's just a gimmick. I rarely use color changing ever. Outside to show people it can do it. But when I program sound fonts onto my Sabers, and Benji Graham said something about this on one of his videos the other week about Graflex should only have Graflex sound fonts on it and Blue Blades, and I agree with that about 95%. I mean, on my Graflexes, I mostly have Graflex sound fonts, and I have different ones. Of course, I have the New Hope training from Kyberphonic is my favorite font, and that is on my Mentor Graflex. That is the feature font on my Mentor Graflex. And it's because it's such an awesome font. Now that I know how awesome Proffie 3.7 is, I'm like, oh crap, I should have built that Mentor after Proffie 3.7 came out. But you always think that when a new board comes out. Yeah, I think it did all of us, Kim, or Kybertech. Every time that I go watch a Star Wars movie, it still brings tears to my eyes when Lucasfilm Limited pops up and it says a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. I get a tear in my eye, and it reminds me of when I was a kid. I was 6 years old when A New Hope came out in theaters. I went and saw it with my dad in a movie theater in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We were visiting my aunt and uncle who lived in Oklahoma, and that's where I saw A New Hope at. The last episode of The Mandalorian, I'm not going to spoil it for anybody that hasn't seen it. If you haven't, you need to. I was bawling like a baby because we'd all been wanting to see what we saw at the last episode of The Mandalorian for, 40-something years. And to finally be able to see it come to life on screen was truly something special. And, it brought a tear to my eye. It was awesome. That's what, that's the kind of, like, if you're a Star Wars fan and you're a Star Wars nerd and you really love these movies, moments like that will get you. And the last episode of Mandalorian got me. Rogue One got me. And there were some even moments, and I didn't like the sequel trilogy as much. I thought Rogue One was really good, but I thought the sequel trilogy was a bit of a mess. Mainly because of The Last Jedi was such a mess. But there were some moments in The Rise of Skywalker that got me. They were pretty cool. Yeah, but what I was getting at there is, like, when I build a Saber, I look at the Saber, and if it's a in-universe Saber, as it were, or a movie replica Saber, like a Crossguard should have Crossguard sound fonts on it. If it's a Graflex, it has Graflex sound fonts on it. The DV6 or an MPP has Vader sound fonts on it. I try to keep to that, but I also understand, wanting to have gimmicks and different things that the Saber can do, and that's where you can take advantage of some of these other... Oh, Link's on. Link is on. But that's where you can, use all these sound fonts that all these makers make to put, other gimmicks onto the lightsabers. And this is where I disagree with Benji Graham, is because of my Graflex, I have, you know, different stuff. You know, even on my Proffie saber, which, you know, this isn't, I don't know where my heavy grade blade went now, but I have the, that one blade that's Boba Fett's Slave One ship. I forget what it's called, but it's got that detonation thing on it. I mean, it's a cool gimmick blade, but it's just a gimmick blade. I don't run it in that blade. I've also got Kyberphonics F1 sound font on that saber, but those aren't the sound fonts that I really, you know, designed that saber for. I mean, it's a Sithy saber. It's got, you know, Imperial cog etching on it there. And, you know, of course, then it's got my logo there. So, I mean, it's a Sithy saber. But, yeah. Yeah, he is calling me Jabba. Hey, fat boy. Yeah, I am fat. It's okay, I'm working on it. I used to be skinny. You know, I used to water ski all growing up, you know, when I was younger. And I was a heck of a slalom skier, like really good. And I tried water skiing at the lake this week, and it didn't work out. Number one, my hands weren't strong enough. Number two, you know, I weighed too much. And it was pretty frustrating and embarrassing that I couldn't even get up on water skis when I used to get up on a slalom ski, no problem. So I think that might have been the motivation. That might have been what I needed to move and take care of myself a little bit better. You know, I'm 50 years old. I'm pretty close to retirement. And I would like to live a few years past retirement and enjoy what I've worked so hard for the last 30 years. So, you know, maybe that was the proper motivation that I need. But, you're thick. It's okay, Max. I know I'm fat. Oh, Lord. That's okay. Me and Risky, we're going to get better together, right? Because Risky's knee's still recovering from surgery. I know those fireworks are scaring you, buddy. But, yeah, that's about all I had for tonight. Anybody else got anything else you're working on? Anything cool coming up? Any big projects? Big projects you're working on? You working on any big new sound fonts, Jesse? Graflex, Kybertech Sabers, Graflex has 15 sound fonts and blade styles, but he just wants to use the Graflex fonts. They just feel right. Yep. Link the Jedi says for his prequel saber, he put all the prequels, animated show fonts, and for his original trilogy hilt, he put all original trilogy and live-action TV show fonts. Yeah, I mean, you know, to each their own. But, you know, on my Graflex, you know, the first, I think 6 or 7 fonts on it are all Graflex fonts. The first 2 are Kyberphonics, the New Hope training. The training drone version and the normal version with normal blaster blocks. And then the other ones are just other Graflex sound font from different makers. There's a lot of fireworks going out there, isn't there, buddy? Kim Kanama's working on his wife's Leia. That's cool. You know, I built one of those for Ella for Christmas. I built an LGT Leia saber, and it has the mother of pearl inlays on it. Came out great. Put a Proffie 2.2 in that. That thing is beautiful. Max says Incendious got tanked because of the friggin' cable. Max, it's not dead. What Frederick was trying to tell you is you can put it in bootloader mode. Another thing you can do, I got the SD commands here. You can plug it in once you get a proper cable and try to open it up in the serial monitor like we did last week in last week's live video. And I'm trying to remember. I'm looking for the command now. Oh, here it is. And just, you'll have to save this video for later. But see that reboot DFU command? If you enter that in the serial monitor, it'll put your Proffie into bootloader mode. And then you just plug in your Proffie. Now let me show you something, Max. I'm going to go to screen share. So y'all hang in there with me because I'm going to go to screen share and I'm going to show something. I go Windows Share, no peek. And let's open up Proffie OS 5.7. and I want to show you guys something. So once we open up the Proffie OS 5.7, so what I'm saying, Max, is if, oh my God, Arduino is really slow to open. My apologies. Is you're going to go to Tools and then Serial Monitor with your board plugged in. Now you can see it says that, you know, my board's not available. But if you can get it, if you can get the board up in Serial Monitor, you can type in that command in Serial Monitor and it'll work. But once you get the command, your board's not going to show up in Tools. The port's going to be grayed out like that, and it doesn't matter. When the board's in bootloader mode, it's not going to recognize it as a USB device, and then you just press upload and it will work. And then you should get the percentage countdown that I've shown you in my other videos. Oh, no COM port. Tried to do that. Did you try the boot and reset buttons, Max, to put it in bootloader mode? If you hit those boot and reset buttons, you should hear it reset when it's plugged into your computer by a proper cord. And when it does that boot and reset, then you just hit upload. But it's not going to show up in ports. And don't worry about it not showing up in ports because it's basically in bootloader mode. So it's like saying program me, program me, program me. And as soon as you hit upload in Arduino, it'll program it. But then once you program it, when it's in bootloader mode, then it will recognize it as a Proffie board again. So when it's in bootloader mode, your computer does not recognize it as a USB device Proffie board. It recognizes it as a bootloader mode something that needs to be programmed. So you just hit upload and it will program. Yeah, just make sure you have a proper cord. Put it into bootloader mode with the buttons by toggling boot and reset. Just follow the directions on that, and then just click upload in. Yep. And Max, that's the same procedure. So anytime you have an interrupted upload or a failed upload, the Proffie board won't do anything because it basically doesn't have a proper program on it, and Arduino already erased the other program to pop the new one on it, but it only got half the new program, and then the upload was interrupted. So when that happens, your board's not dead. Don't panic. Don't freak out. Press boot and reset until it resets. Plug it in with a proper cord. Press upload. Don't worry about selecting the port. That is the actual procedure for rescuing a board that had an interrupted upload. That's the actual prescribed procedure for doing that in the manual. Yep. Yeah, but you shouldn't have to select that in the ports. You shouldn't have to select that in the ports, Max. Just hit upload, and it should work. Might have fixed Max boards right here on the live. That'll be awesome. Oh, well. Well, it's cool. But yeah, I mean, you know, what we were talking about there is Fernando's stuff that he's working on in his profile for the edit mode for all the users. I still think that Saber enthusiasts, that are Proffie enthusiasts, that understand Arduino and aren't afraid of Arduino, you're still going to be better off just using your own blade styles and connecting them to the fonts in the way we always have. But Fernando's edit mode will work for end users that don't want to learn Arduino. Well, thank you, Link the Jedi. I'm hoping that we just helped Max fix his Proffie board there. That'll make my night. You know, Max is really trying to learn all this stuff, and he's in Australia. And, you know, you feel for all the Australians and the people in New Zealand. Shipping is so expensive for them. And a lot of them, you know, they learn how to make their own stuff just because everything else is so expensive. And there's Max learning how to solder and learning how to program Arduino. And that's awesome. Solo Sabers LLC, quit it. Quit it. Is that Jeremy? I'm not a legend. I said, if that's Jeremy, whatever, because I watch you install like 12 Sabers in a sitting. You probably could have installed 8 or 9 Sabers while I'm sitting here yapping my trap. If I put as much effort into installing as I did doing the live vids every Monday night, I'd be producing a gazillion Sabers a week. Well, speaking of that, this is my next install. This one's going across the Pacific. This is another one that's going across the Pacific. It's got an exposed crystal chamber on there that's pretty awesome. I mean, a crystal reveal that's pretty awesome inside the hilt. There's the crystal chamber. And it's got a chassis sleeve on it that's pretty awesome. Proffie 2.2 is going into this one. And, you know, it's got a recharge port there, external. And there's your two buttons there and there. I did not build this hilt. It was shipped to me. I don't know who built this hilt. I have to ask my customer in Taiwan who built the hilt. But this will be the next install. It's got an etched shroud, which is pretty cool. I don't know. Oh, dang it. Y'all aren't on scene. Try that. This is the next saber I'm installing. Let's try that. Lord have mercy. Yeah. So this is the next saber that I'm building. It's got a crystal reveal chamber in there in the chassis sleeve. And there's the buttons there. They're, you know, switch 22s, and you got an external recharge port there. It's got an etched shroud here. It's hard to see that etch work in my lighting, but some pretty cool etch work there. It almost looks like the Immortals from the 300. I can't tell, but it almost looks like an Immortals etch. That lighting sucks. I'm trying to get it in a way where y'all can see it. But this saber will be next to be installed, and this one's going across the Pacific. And, you know, this one should be a pretty easy install. It looks like mostly MHS type stuff. And I'll get that saber shipped off. Hey, Vader's Prototype. Yeah, Max is really, you know, learning a lot of stuff. Yeah, sorry about the camera view thing there. But yeah, thanks for joining us. And yeah, I mean, what I was really hoping, you know, my inspiration when I started all this, there was a couple YouTube channels I watched. One of them was Alaska Vader, and another one was Shamim. And I watched those guys' channels. And I did used to watch some other people too that I don't even want to talk about. But Shamim and Alaska Vader were a huge inspiration to me on learning how to install sabers, and helped me a lot when I was young in the saber building deal. And you know, I've tried to post some videos to help other people learn how to install sabers. And I know not everybody wants to learn how to install sabers or program Proffie boards, but for those that do, I hope the, yeah, I think it's MHS stuff, Kybertech. I'm not sure. I'll ask Tony, but it looks like all MHS stuff. Yeah, I would like to have a miniature lathe, or at least a hobby type lathe. I would love to have one, but I think I probably need a 3D printer before that. So 3D printing is in my future. Yeah, Shamim was a big inspiration to me. Kim Kanama. You know, I used to watch Shamim's install videos, and they were simple installs, and you'd listen to him singing while he was installing. And, you know, it wasn't the soldering. I wasn't learning how to solder. I was just learning his process. I mean, I already knew how to solder. You know, if y'all have watched some of my Monday live videos, you know, when I was in high school, I didn't think I was going to go to college. So I took a bunch of meathead classes. You know, I was in all shop classes: auto mechanics, small engine repair, soldering, lawnmower repair, auto mechanics, boat mechanics. I mean, those are all the classes I took in high school. Cool, Solo Sabers. I'm glad to hear that. I did not know that. But, you know, I'm glad that my videos have helped. I know that they've helped people. I mean, I get the messages on the YouTube that they have. And I don't think I'm as good as Shamim by any stretch of the imagination. You know, Shamim was so creative in his own right. And I don't make lightsabers per se. I mean, I've made my own MHS sabers, but there's so much work. You know, I just don't have time to do that for somebody else. But, you know, if y'all have seen my Nihilist build, oh, stand by. Whoa, that's not good. Just crashed a shark's tooth over there. You know, this is all MHS. This is my Darth Nihilus hilt. And this is all MHS with custom shrouds on it. Now, these are MHS shrouds. And this is a piece of aluminum that I cut. There's aluminum pipe and this aluminum pipe, and the switches are here. And it's got a, you know, crystal chamber in there. I think I've showed that on the Monday night videos before. This is the first lightsaber I ever made. And I know it's long and I know it's crazy. And it's got a crystal chamber in there. It's nuts. This was the first lightsaber I ever made. And this one actually has 0603 LEDs on the igniter that's on there. There's the crystal chamber. Needs a new speaker right now. I'm so used to gesture ignitions that I was trying to turn that off with gestures, but this still has igniter in it. This was the first lightsaber I ever built with MHS parts, and you know, it's crazy, it's humongous, it's long, but this was the first lightsaber I ever built, Max. So, you know, there is Megtooth Sis first lightsaber. It's ugly as hell. You know, it's got these crazy shrouds on it, and this one has igniter on it, and it does need a new speaker right now. But it's got an external recharge port, and I cut a slot in it so you can see those SMD LEDs on the igniter, which is pretty cool. But I cut that slot with a Dremel. I mean, this is a hack job saber, but this was my first one ever. So, you know, I went from this, and then, you know, this is a much later saber that when I had greater skills that I made that on my own. I wish I could machine my own hilts. I just don't have that skill set, y'all. Yeah, I'm 50. Vader's prototype, I'm 50. Yeah, so, you know, when I was in high school, I ended up going to college, but, you know, I have all these skills that are unbeknownst to most of college kids, in that, you know, I don't take my truck to a mechanic when it breaks down, I fix it. You know, when my boat needs to be fixed, I fix it. When my lawnmower needs to be fixed, I fix it. That's a curse and a blessing all at the same time. I save a lot of money by fixing all my own stuff, but it's a curse because I'm obsessed with fixing my own stuff, and I spend a lot of time fixing my stuff and everyone else's stuff because I have the mysterious skills. Yeah. Yeah, I think I have the volume up too loud on that one, and it's, you know, it's old. Y'all, that saber is, I don't know, 8 years old, something like that now. Something. It's pretty old. Max. You liar. Thank you, Max. Thank you, mate. Max. What's wrong with him, Risky? What's wrong with Maximilian? Yeah, I know. I love you too, buddy. But at any rate, you know, I hope that, you know, if I disappear off the YouTubes or off the face of the earth, because we never know when it's our time to go, that someone that has learned from me, that, you know, once y'all get into this, that you'll pass on what you have learned. You know, it's funny, we're all Star Wars nerds. Yeah, that's what happens to me, Link, is I end up fixing everybody's stuff. That's one of the reasons I'm so busy. It was like my, you know, I have a boat, and we go out on the boat here every now and then. It's not a big boat, it's just a fishing boat. and it wasn't running really good. And you know, I limped it home and diagnosed it and fixed it, and went out, and me and Risky went out and test ran it the other day, and it ran fine. So I mean, I was able to fix that. And I had friends at work that his boat broke down, and he was getting ready to take it to a boat mechanic who was going to charge him thousands of dollars, and you know, we were able to fix his boat for $150. So, you know, I have those kind of skills too. Yeah, I mean, Scott DeBoer really made some well, thank you, Kendall Hall. I'm glad you like Proffie, and I'm glad I helped you get into it. But the NEC boards back in the day, they were amazing, and you know, they had some cool features. I think Scott, and the funny part about that is the guy that invented smooth swing, Dexter, and I didn't like teensy sabers, and then I'm talking about before Proffie even came out now. But I started getting into teensy sabers, which were by Frederick Hubinet, open source boards, mainly for the NeoPixel effects. Smooth swing was kind of an afterthought. And then as smooth swing developed, and then all the other soundboards were jumping on, including Herb Plechter with the CFX. You know, I thought CFX 9 was a mistake because Herb didn't include NeoPixel support on it, and that's at the time NeoPixels were exploding, and I was like, wow, that was an epic mistake there when CFX 9 didn't support NeoPixels. And, you know, then by the time CFX was coming out, Proffie had already come out, and people were seeing what Proffie could do, and Irv was, you know, he almost had to do something crazy, which he did with CFX. He basically combined Prism and CFX and turned them into one board that was a little bit more flexible. But Irv listened to Thexter. And, you know, Thexter invented smooth swing. And for those of y'all that don't know, Thexter lives in Seattle. Frederick lives in the Seattle area. And also Scott DeBoer that did the Igniter soundboards lives in the Seattle area. So there's a lot of genius, a lot of computer programming and soundboard engineering genius in the Seattle area. And I was really surprised when Scott did his true swing instead of signing on to the smooth swing algorithms, because Thexter wasn't very private about it. All those threads about how smooth swing developed are still on the Saber FX forums. You can go read it. You can go read where him and Frederick were bandying ideas back and forth. And Thexter shared the algorithm with Herb Plechter, and Herb Plechter basically instituted the same smooth swing algorithm on CFX that is on Proffie. Now Proffie goes about it in different ways than CFX, but for all intents and purposes it's the same thing. But I think when I may upgrade that Saber someday, Max, but I really like the SMD LEDs on it. The only thing I think I'm going to do to it right now is put a new speaker in it because the speaker's blown. But yeah, when Scott DeBoer didn't put the smooth swing algorithm from Thexter, and he went with True Swing. True Swing, it was okay. It was better than it was, but it was missing a lot, and it missed a lot of swing motions. And it may have been a limitation of the Igniter platform, and I'm not sure. And I know Scott was really sick at the time, and you know, Scott had a pretty big contract with some of the big Saber companies, and as those Saber companies demanded NeoPixels and smooth swing, I don't think that they were satisfied, and that's when, you know, Igniter kind of, I think they're still in, Scott's too much of a genius to stay in hiding for too long, and he was dealing with some pretty serious health problems, and I have no doubt that Scott DeBoer will come out swinging with something new someday. I just can't see him disappearing off the face of the earth and not doing soundboards. He's still a lightsaber enthusiast. He's still on the groups. I don't think you've seen the last of NEC, and I will be a huge fan if Scott can figure out a way to come back. Yeah. Yeah, and Scott had a couple of videos where he talked about that, and he didn't institute the smooth swing. And it's kind of like Flash on Clash now. I mean, to me, if your soundboard doesn't have the Dexter's smooth swing algorithm, like Proffie board and CFX and Verso, then and also Golden Harvest also uses the smooth swing algorithm. But if you're by Dexter's the one that invented it. But if your soundboard doesn't have Dexter's algorithm on it, then it's like not having Flash on Clash. I mean, that's how important smooth swing came to be. I don't even know that Dexter realized how important his little invention was going to be. And then what really topped off the invention, and this is where, you know, Proffie really stood out, was Matt McGreary, who's SA22C. You know, he convinced Frederick to add accent swings, and Frederick's like, well, what's an accent swing? And Matt McGreary was like, well, it's kind of like right now you have the smooth swing, like when the lightsaber's, you know, going through the air and cutting the molecules of air around it. But at the end of the swing, like, you know, when there's like an explosion of air on the front of the blade, like when it's swung really hard, there should be that vo, vo, vo that you don't get with the Doppler shift. You know, you need to have that accent swing so the swing pops at the end of the swing cycle. And yeah. There's a lot of creativity in Scott. You know, I just don't think we've seen the last of him. I don't think we've seen the last of him. But I think it was a mistake. And maybe it was his health that wouldn't allow him to admit that it was a mistake. But I think it was a mistake to not put smooth swing on the igniters. Well, you know, you can kind of think SA22C for the accent swings, and I'm sure there'll be debate about where accent swings came first, CFX or Proffie. But as far as I know, SA22C's addition to them on Proffie, while we were developing one of the OS modifications, was the first time accent swings appeared. And this is where those beta tests of the new operating systems come into play. And pretty soon we'll be beta testing operating system 6. As a matter of fact, the beta 3.7 Saber that I built that has the new Proffie board in it, Proffie board 3.7, this is also running OS 6.0 or 6.XX. So basically we're already in preliminary testing on OS 6 right now. Yep, exactly, General Dude. On, you know, Flash on Clash is a necessity, and, you know, smooth swing is also a necessity. Now, you know, my test rig, which has Prism 5.5 in it, it doesn't have smooth swing on it. Hang on a minute. We get the battery seated and have the battery in. So yeah. Yeah, well, Kyberphonic, now that you chime back in on that, I will say that your accent swings on A New Hope training. Oop, hang on a minute. Let me get to A New Hope training.
What is it? Your father's lightsaber. This is the weapon of a Jedi Knight.
This was the hard part. And, you know, when Jesse, this was already my favorite font, but when Jesse remastered this thing, oh my God, it's a million times better. But the accent swings, Jesse really nailed on this because they match the hum, and he almost has it perfect. So the hum is very Graflexy, very awesome, but the swings... They just match the hum perfect. And probably one of the best Graphics fonts that I've ever had on any lightsaber, A&H training by Kyberphonic. That font is the bomb.com. So yeah, Jesse, you did a really good job on the accents on the remodeling of that one. Yeah, well, you know what the funny thing is behind the color change, and that was, I think, OS 3.9, and it was the fork. It was Matt McGurry's fork, but Fernando also had a lot to do with that fork. That was Fernando and Matt. Basically, had gone off on a tangent. And the bad part was, at the time, is I liked their fork better than the main OS, and Frederick wasn't, like, allowing color changing to come into the main OS. And he's like, I don't understand why you guys need color changing. And we're like, Frederick, not everybody that buys a Proffie board is going to want to learn how to do Arduino. They need to be able to change colors on their own. And he's like, well, they can just learn Arduino. And we're like, that ain't going to happen. Oh, man. And, hey, we'll see you, Smooth Jazz family. Hey, I'm going to start working on your Saber tonight. Start updating those. I got your email. I haven't responded back. I didn't even know you were on, Eric. That's good to see you. But we'll see you later, Smooth Jazz family. Get back to work. And it was great seeing y'all. But, yeah, you know, when Matt McGurry and Fernando did the color changing fork, and there were basically two versions of the operating system out there, I was programming all these sabers on the fork, and I still have fork sabers that are out there, including one of my Star Killers that I sold. But if they came back to me, I would have to redo all the blade styles and the whole configs to put them back in main OS features, which wouldn't be too difficult, but, you know, at the time, I really thought the fork was the way to go, but once Frederick instituted color changing on the main OS and one of the versions of 4 point something or another, then I went back on Frederick's main OS. But yeah, it's crazy watching it develop. And, you know, Fernando's developed a lot of stuff, but for all intents and purposes, I think most of what Fernando's developed that's coming up in OS 6 is better for end users that don't want to learn Arduino. But if you can do Arduino, I still think you're better off just doing it the way I'm doing it right now, which is making your fonts match whatever blade style you want, and you can copy Fernando's blade styles. But that edit mode and the adding sound fonts without reprogramming your Saber, I mean, to me, rather than going through that long, I don't know if y'all watched the edit mode video, but it's long. So you're going to have to go through all those menus and follow all those button commands. And to me, by the time you did that, you could pull the SD card out of the Saber, add your new fonts onto the SD card, pull up your config file that you changed, add your new sound font on, add a new blade style for your new sound font, reprogram the Proffie, Bob Giranti, off you go. I think that's going to be easier. And, you know, that's the bad part, is Arduino is so intimidating to everybody that it scares them off. But once you learn how to do it, it's so easy. It's like, you know, 5-minute deal to reprogram your Saber. And to me, that's easier than going through all these menus on buttons on a lightsaber. I mean, just a second ago on the Verso, I was trying to show y'all something, and I'm having to navigate all those button menus, and the Saber was doing stuff I didn't want it to do because we're live, and that's what happens live. Hey, Bobby Susanbach. But yeah, you know, and, you know, guys like Bobby Susanbach, he's a prime example. You know, he has a couple of Proffie Sabers now, and, you know, if he wants to adjust them, he can. He can plug them in and reprogram them. You know, it's good. Yeah, Cole, I don't know why Frederick didn't update to USB-C. Outside of, I don't know if it would have affected the footprint, or if USB-Cs weren't as available as micro USBs. But the Class Cs I know are supposed to be a lot faster with data transfer. And I don't know. I don't know why he didn't use USB-Cs, but I know that he's gotten a lot of feedback about not using USB-Cs. But I also think, you know, you've seen how fast Proffie's evolved. I mean, it just seems like yesterday I was beta testing 1.5, and now we're already on the third version of Proffie in almost as many years. And my guess is that, you know, the current evolution of Proffie with 3.7 Maybe it's just Frederick didn't want to add too much because he added onboard charging, a new microprocessor, and freed up a bunch of the data of the pads. And maybe he just felt like adding the USB-C was going to be too much engineering hurdles for him to cross over. In other words, he probably pulled a lot of his trace mapping for the 3.7 from the 2.2s, and maybe he would have had to re-engineer for the USB-C. I'm not sure, but I'm sure there's a reason. Well, Kim, yeah, I mean, you could certainly add color zoom, but I'm talking about, you know, for a general user, somebody that buys a Proffie saber, like from LGT or someplace like that, that those end users that don't want to learn how to mess around with Arduino, having that edit mode would be good for them because they can sit there and navigate the menu and watch Fernando's videos. But for you know, a more refined Proffie board user, somebody that understands how to use Arduino, I think it would just be quicker just to reflash your board. But that's my opinion on that. Oh my God, we're beyond 1 hour. Where's Birch? Does everyone make sure you say happy birthday to Birch? And since it's Birch's birthday, we need to go ahead and throw in old hashtag nerd up. And we talked about that a little bit tonight. When you're on the forums and the Facebook groups, try to be nice. Sometimes I slip up and I catch myself, but most of the time I try to be nice and helpful. Sometimes I do get frustrated when somebody asked a question that just got asked like the post before theirs because they didn't, you know, bother doing a search. But, you know, I know people go to Facebook for immediate answers, immediate gratification. But that's why I avoid Facebook. I'm not on there a whole lot. Right, Risky? That's less risky time. Me and Risky are going on a walk because we need to exercise. But nerd up, everybody. Happy birthday to Birch. Happy belated birthday to Max. And also to Cole. And we will see y'all hopefully next week. And maybe we'll do some of the install on this puppy. Who knows? We'll bring y'all along for the ride. We'll figure out something. We'll figure out something for next week. But thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And hopefully we'll see you guys next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Unless some emergency arises at work, which could always happen. But, you know, thank you for tuning in. Keep building awesome sabers. And may the force be with you. Or the dark side, as it were. Risky says bye, too. Good night, everybody.
Thank you, everybody, for watching, as usual. I really appreciate y'all tuning in on my channel. And as always,